Welcome back, Arthur here with episode 1 of the Wurm Unlimited complete modding guide. Today, this episode will be mostly about getting a modding framework to go, basically showing you the settings that you will always have inside a mod and how to set up the IDE, so basically your development environment. I am using Intelli-J. There's also Eclipse or probably a whole other bunch of Java programming tools. I am the most familiar with Intelli-J. I'll post a link in the description for the download, so you can play along at home. And at the end, just so that this isn't a whole showing you how to set things up video, we'll start by making a very tiny little mod, maybe to get you into the ins and outs and the setup, what you have to do, the files that you have to generate and where to generate. So just so you know how a mod comes into existence. So this will probably be a pretty short episode, but anyway, it still shows you quite valuable stuff, namely how to set up a mod. And setting up a mod is not just by starting it, making a project. It's also a little bit of aftercare, if that is the right word, but let's just head into it. So if you downloaded Intelli-J, I think this window will open. Normally, Intelli-J just launches into the last open project, but anyway, I'll show it from here, and you can surely find a way if it opens different for you. So don't be afraid. We are gonna make a new project here. I'm calling this right away Ice Cube. And the locations is your choice, but you can also choose a folder here. So I'm just gonna do the GitHub, then Ice Cube. Oh, okay. It already fills that out for you. Git repository, you don't have to tick this. I'm personally, at the moment, I'm using GitHub Desktop. That's a whole nother thing. Maybe I'll show you a little bit of GitHub as well. Let's see. Side quest counter 1. But nevertheless, this is my working directory, basically where all my mods are, and yeah. But I never create GitHub repositories inside Intelli-J. All right, Lava language obviously is Java, and we are using the Intelli-J build system. You might work with Maven or Gradle. Again, I tried Gradle, wasn't too nice to me, but if you're learning from a different space and are already worked with Maven or Gradle, feel free to use one of those wrappers. And then for the JDK, you might have no version 1.8 to select, but this is already the most important point. It should be 1.8 because that is what Wurm uses. So if you don't have any 1.8 JDK, you see here the Java version 1.80312. This you can download on the Java page, but you have to make an Oracle account for that. And Intelli-J can download JDKs for you, and then you go there, click version 1.8, and then you can look. So like there's Amazon 1.8, Bellsoft, IBM, yada yada. So it doesn't have to be original Java. I'm personally using Corretto 1.8 when I'm not working at home. But since I got the JDK 1.8 here, I'm going to select that. But don't be afraid if you don't have it. Just use the ones Intelli-J offers to you. Right. We won't add any sample code, and then we'll just create. So now Intelli-J sets up all your project things. It might ask you about the Microsoft Defender configuration so that your working directory gets excluded from the real-time Microsoft Defender search. You can hit this button and it will ask you if you want to allow that program. So that was the user account control popping up right there. And yeah, this is how Intelli-J looks. Okay, so before we begin even, you have to click here in the project view on the top row. You click there and press F4, or you could go project structure. Yeah, you could go project structure as well, and then go libraries. So you see here project structure and libraries, and if I hit F4 here, I immediately go into modules. So yeah, that is, but it opens the same window. And we need libraries because a library is basically like you want to calculate something, and then you take your take a book, a physics book, and look at the tables there. It basically allows your mod to look into other files. So this could be files of other mods, and then you have a dependency, or this could be some Java file that you're using, or you wrote your own helper code, whatever. But since it's a Wurm mod, you have to go to your game folder and add some libraries here. And we need common jar, and I press down Control and keep it pressed so I can multi-select Java assist, mod launcher, and we also need server.jar. These are the four we need. Then Intelli-J will suggest where to put them, and you just hit OK. Assigned into the project, OK, and then you apply. And this is something you have to do every project. So this is something Intelli-J lacks over Gradle, I think, because in Gradle you can set your dependency file 1 and that's it. But yeah, that's this. Okay, so we did nothing yet, but we gave it some libraries which will come in place in the next part. Okay, so now you have here your project structure, and maybe you don't have a source folder, so I'm gonna delete this as well. If I can, yeah, here. I delete this, and then you just go to your top point here, and then go new directory and call it src source if it's not there. And also, if it's not like this blue color here, you can right click it and then mark directory as sources root. So right now it is marked as sources root. So now it's gray. Mark directory as sources root, because this will be basically the main folder where everything of your mod happens in, and where everything inside your code also looks for your source code. Okay, and inside there you want to make a new package. So there is no real standardized package structure here. I'll show you the structure that I think most models use, but you don't have to use it. You can also put, I don't know, my mod in here and you're done. Okay, so normally we do work, then your name. So my name is Erldop. Mods, Wurm Unlimited, because you could write mods for for some game else, right? Dot and then the name of the mod. So in this case, that would be Ice Cube. And this is a package. It's basically also just a directory, but this tells your Java files where everything is. And inside this package, we are going to generate a new Java class, which we have to call IceCube. Keep in mind, classes start with capital letters, so this looks like so. And this is, for the time being, everything you have to create. And now in here, we are going to write our mod. Okay, so now we are looking at our empty code here. But don't worry, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So first off, we will go right behind our class name here and put implements Wurm server mod. And you can see here, or got the Wurm Unlimited mod loader. So this is something that comes from the mod loader, which is the jar file that we added to our libraries. So if we go back here, there, mod launcher, and everything that's that is for mod launcher or mod loader, you can see here I control left clicked. So in Intelli-J, if you control left click something, it goes to where that is. And you can see here that is in the mod launcher jar in mod loader. All right. So next up, we need to decide what our mod is doing with the mod loader interface. So in that case, you have to think about what your mod will do. So like, is it making new actions, or is it adding to the server pool? You could add all of the functionality, and this is what I'll show you in a minute. But you can also cut it down and only implement what you need. Depends on how exact you want to work with your file sizes there. So there are a couple of options you can get. Basically, I'll show you an assorted list that will mostly fix or have anything that you might need, and then you can cut it down later. So we will need pre-initable, initable, configurable, on layer message listener, layer login listener, server poll listener, server started listener, item templates created listener, and that's most of the ones that I'm using. We could compare with, let's say, Alchemy. So yeah, that's practically the same. Yeah. So this is my personal modding framework that I'm using. But now you can see, oh, that's a lot of red squiggly line. Don't be worried. Intelli-J is here to help. So if you go somewhere where it's red and squiggly and then right click and show context actions, it will make some suggestions. And in this case, implement methods would be the correct choice to click here. And if you click that, it will already mark the ones that you want to use, and then you can hit OK. And then you can see it will add a bunch of functionality here. I will talk about this in a minute. Okay. It's complaining that it doesn't have the init because we have pre-initable and initable. So again, implement methods and then just get init. I don't know why it didn't get that. and why it also didn't get pre in it. But there you go. So you said, as you could see, let me delete it. It just says it here. Class IceCube must either be declared abstract or implement abstract method pre-init in pre-initable. So it basically says it needs the pre-init. So what's all this shit here? So an override basically means it overrides a function with the same name from somewhere else. And this is where you can insert your code. So maybe this already makes sense to you. So everything that is in configure will be called to when the server is reading your config files. Everything in on item templates created will be executed once the server is done creating the item templates. Everything inside on player login will be executed when any player logs in, but you also have a player here, so you could make it conditional, where you, for example, ask for the player name, and only certain players will execute that code. Then you have on player message, and this code will be run every time a player sends a message in chat. On server poll is a danger zone, because this will be executed every server tick. So every 10 milliseconds or so, this code will be executed. And if it's too large of a code or too heavy of a load, it will create considerable lag. On server started will be executed when the server starts, and on init and pre-init will be executed if you start the server GUI, so really early. And there is a certain place for everything, so not every code can be called to in init or pre-init. Some code has to be run on server started. Some code has to be run on item templates created. For example, if you make your own custom item, you should just add it to, because that's right after the vanilla items are being made. Most of the code can technically be put in on server poll, because that is when the server is ready and has its first game tick, then this code is run the first time. So depending on how much coding experience you have, you can also, since this should be a framework, you could comment here for yourself. So a comment in Java is 2 times / code is called in the phase where server reads the properties files. So pretty early. Then we have this line. This code is called where items are generated. Is called when any player logs in. This code is called when any player types a message, I think in local. I know that it works in local, but I don't know if it works on the global channels. Is called every server tick, 10 milliseconds. Is called, this code here in server start is called once, when the server has booted. That doesn't mean the server is actually ready to execute any code. That's why code in this particular area sometimes gets executed a little bit earlier or a little bit later. So if there is some time critical code, you shouldn't put it in on server start. Okay. This code is called the server initializes. before. So you see some sections are called continuously, and some sections are only called once. So that is already something you can use to decide where to put your modded code. All right. So just so I can show you how to make a mod, we will now put very simple instructions here that do something. This is not the target of the Ice Cube mod, but just to show you what you can do and what happens. So let's do a code on a player login, and I'm just gonna go here and say if, and we get a player here, so we get the player that is currently logging in. So if player.getName, oh, and that's something I really love about Intelli-J and other programming environments. If player dot, and then you can see here, it opens a list of all things player can do. So if player is player, right? So you can really explore here the options. So even if you don't know Wurm modding as is, you can always put some research, try out some methods or functions of something and see what it does. I'll show you later how to also debug, so to attach the Intelli-J to your actual server, and it can also halt it at any point. And I'll also show you later how to research properly, how to look up how the base game does it. But for the time being, you can also trust your coding environment that it finds some predictions for you. So if player get name equals, of course it's string, we have to put equals, but we could technically also do this. This GM, this is my GM character, right? Then do some code. And then we say player get communicator send and then you see here send message is what I posted, but you can see here send a GM message, a help log, server, system, normal, combat, dev. So there's a lot of messages here. As you know, in the event window in the lower right, this is using save, alert, and normal messages. Those pop up in the event window. And we'll just say save server message. Hello, master. And if the name is not Earth is GM, so else, we also gonna say player get communicator send alert server message, and now we say welcome back, scum. Talk about admin abuse, just to show you what works and what not. So this is on player login, and tidy this up. And this is on player message, and here we can ask if, and then you see here string s. S will be the message. So if s, and now you can here work with something else. You see here these two equal signs are yellow marked, which means it's weird, or the IDE says it's something weird, but it's not particularly wrong. Yeah, so it says strings should be compared. So here we are comparing strings using equal, not equals. So it would be happier if you would put dot equals here, which is what we put down here, because I want to show you. Now you can say here equals, contains, and start with are some very basic instructions for a string. So here you could check if the message the player posts equals with a certain message. This is good for server commands. If it contains something, this could also be used for server commands. But for example, if you call guards in Wurm Unlimited, there's two ways to do it. You could write guards in any chat, or there is this where you can type help, and this help actually is done with contains. So if you post like on an RP server in local chat, you say help exclamation mark someone get the guards, then it still will call the guards, which is nice, and starts with is, so it's pretty self explaining, I guess. So here I want to do equals, and we say joke. Then we say, hey, communicator. So someone did write this message, and this will happen with a communicator. Exactly the same like here we did player get communicator. We already now have a player behind that communicator because someone sent that message. So we just answer in the same communicator. And then we, as you can see here, you could get the player. And maybe then again ask if the player is a GM, like get power, right? But in this case, we just want to answer, so we say send normal server message. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because it wanted to switch sides. Okay. So this is some code that we will look at. And if I would put like such a message code on server poll, you would get a message in your event window every 10 milliseconds. So it would flood your communicator there. Okay, so how to actually create the mod now? If we go build project, something happens. I can click here. It's doing things. It also puts a warning here that this method with the on player message is deprecated, which means it's old and got replaced by a more modern version. But that's still valid. You can still use it. So you can ignore that. And here it would put any compiler errors. So there is no compiler error here, but it didn't create any files here. So what do we have to do? Again, we have to go to our project structure, and now we are talking about artifacts, which is basically your code put together into a magical crystal of Java classes. So you click on the plus, add a jar file, which is empty, and then you name that exactly how your mod is named. So ice cube. And you include that in the project build. And then you have here available elements, ice cube compile output. We put that in the jar. And that's that. Take care of where you want that output. You can put it anywhere on your computer, but since you probably will have a Wurm Unlimited dedicated server installed, you can put it on Wurm Unlimited dedicated server mods, and then again a folder that's called like your mod. So ice cube. Okay. And then we hit OK. And we build it again. And now you can see here it built that. This is a little bit weird here. You could click on it and it should open the Explorer here. But in this case, it will link to Wurm Unlimited. So something went wrong there. And if we scroll through here, we have icecube.jar and can even open it. And org, airdoc, mods, Wurm Related, icecube.class. Everything's there. Okay, so what can we do with that? Well, if I wouldn't click so fast, now if I start the server, nothing will happen because the server doesn't know the mod exists. So we have to tell the server, hey dude, there's a mod called icecube. And if you ever modded Wurm Unlimited, you know that most mods come with a properties file or something bundled up. So in that case, we are going to just look at any properties file here, and we will just copy this and make a new file, which we call exactly as the mod. Take care, so also watch that capitalization is done right. Dot properties. Like if I would capitalize this this I here, the server wouldn't check for a folder with a, so on Windows it would work, but on Linux it's kind of wonky then. So this is a lowercase I, and if I put here uppercase I, it will probably say, there is no mod called icecube with capital I, so take care about that. And then we paste it back in here, and we could delete this, and we can delete this for the time being. So these are the 3 lines that you need. So now again, you need to change this line here. So we need org Wurm Unlimited mods and icecube. This is our package. And the class name needs to lead to your main class. So that is inside icecube is icecube. This time with capital I because classes are capitalized. So you could also put a comment here. I think it should work on the same line. We'll see if the server crashes. Path to your main class. So you will, if you make bigger mods, you will have more classes in here, but you need always to point to the class that contains your Wurm server mod, pre-init build, yada yada, all the overrides is where you have to point to. And then we have icecube.jar. So then it goes into a folder called, because this is icecube properties, called icecube, and in there it will watch for icecube.jar. Okay, we hit save. And then I'll start the server, and then we can look at it. Oh, that's right. I was modding. Let's take a look at the server log here. Okay. So server log always helpful. Class not found exception, icecube, hashtag path to your main class. So it didn't like that. That is okay. So probably no comments in that file allowed. So, or maybe not on the same line. So you have to memorize that for yourself here. Okay. Maybe I made a typo, but again, so class name needs to have the package where your main class is inside, and then the name of that class inside the package. Maybe there was a stray space or something like that. Let me try that. Yep. Aha. So it is really finicky about that. Okay. So make sure to not put any spaces in here. First time having that error. Okay. So again, I launch the server, and I'll show you my server log again. And now we can just check if our mod got loaded. But you can already see here reading mods icecube.properties. So it found the properties file. And further down, we've got the mod instance builder graphpath, mods icecube. And further on, loading org, out mods, Wurm Unlimited, ice cube, s, ice cube. God damn. So that probably means that our mod is working. So I'm just gonna start the server and log in with my GM, and then we'll see. So this is Aerith's GM, my GM character. Ah, and there you go. We have the welcome back scum. That's weird because you see here my Wurm name is Aerith's GM. But hey, maybe in the database my name is different. But we'll see. This is something we can troubleshoot. And then, but we can have here, we can put joke, and you see here joke. And why did the chicken cross the road? Because it wanted to switch sides. So that is working perfectly. As you can see here, if I try to put hashtag joke, puts here unknown command, and it won't put it into the chat. So if you want to work with commands, you could probably work with slash or with hashtag here. So that is also important information if you want to work with commands. Otherwise, maybe someone runs around and says joke and people get offended. I don't know. Okay. Then let's quit for the time being, shut the server down because we want to go into our mod here. And so this is equals equals. So maybe we can use. I just noticed it didn't remove the Wurm window from earlier. So sorry. So I've changed this code into this code. Let's see how I'll cut that up later. But anyway, it works now. It says hello master. If I log in with the GM, so proof of concept. Oh, by the way, I think it works better if I do windowed resizable. So again, I'm gonna use the GM character. And it will say here, hello master. Yeah, windowed works way better when recording. And now I'll create a new character called Scum. Cancel. Welcome back, Scum. So yeah, this is your first mod. Be proud of it. In the next episode, we'll work a little bit more with our framework, and then we'll make our ice cube item happen. But I think for today's episode, this is enough. We're sitting at 44 minutes. I hope to cut it down a little bit more. But yeah, this is your entry point, and this is your framework. So you could basically copy this in some kind of text file or save it as a starter project that you open up again every time. And yeah, then you can work from here. Of course, you should maybe remove the joke and the other stuff. But yeah, so hopefully this video was interesting to you and you learned something. If you have any feedback or any questions, feel free to post a comment down below or hit me up in the forums or on Discord. You'll find me. All right. Have a very nice day, and I see you next episode when we are making that item happen, and maybe I also show you a little bit of GitHub. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.